Chapter 31, New Customers. At lunch, Jeffrey sat by himself. He'd had friends before, other kids who liked talking about the same kinds of movies and shows he did, but no one wanted to sit with him now. Jeffrey seemed to want it that way, though. He picked fights with anybody who hung out with him too long. I stared across the room at Space Cadet Jeff, feeling sorry for him. He'd always been such a nice guy before. He'd been like this ever since that day we both got called to the office. He wasn't angry before that. What had Principal Banana been telling him as they came out of her office? Something about how she was sure his grandmother had been a nice person? Jeffrey's grandmother must have died. Was that why he was so mad? I could understand him being sad, but why was he so angry all the time? Then I remembered the books I've read where people die. Sometimes the characters refused to believe it. Sometimes they just got to where they shut down and didn't want to do anything. And sometimes they got really mad. I had a book like that in my locker, in fact. After lunch, I wrote a note that said I wanted to talk and left it in Jeffrey's locker mailbox. He met me at my locker after school with the note in his hand. "What?" he said. "Hey, Jeffrey," I said. I didn't know where to start. I know your grandmother died. Jeffrey looked away, staring at the lockers. "So?" he said. "I just wanted you to know that I know what you're going through," I said. His eyes flashed to mine, and I saw the Jeffrey who'd gotten suspended for fighting. "Oh yeah?" he said. "Did your grandmother die?" "No," I said. "Well, then you don't know," he said. "But I've read about it. In a book." Jeffrey snorted and looked away, and I opened my locker and showed him the book. "Mr. Bear opens a bank account," he said. "Oh no, that's just a fake cover that we put on it to fool the teachers." I opened it up to show him. "It's called Bridge to Terabithia. I think you should read it." Jeffrey looked at the book in my hands but didn't take it. "Sounds stupid," Jeffrey said. "It's not, it's really good," I told him. "It's about these two kids who invent this pretend kingdom and become the king and queen. I really think you'll like it." I held the book out to Jeffrey and he finally took it. "All right, maybe I'll read it," he said. "Okay," I said. I hoped he would. Jeffrey walked away and I turned. Trey McBride was standing right behind me. I jumped out of my skin, then remembered to slam my locker shut and slip on the lock. "Hey," Trey said. "Hey," I said back. I tried not to sound nervous, even though I was. Every time I turned around, there he was. He stood there for a few seconds just looking at me, but not saying anything. What did he want? Our First Amendment project was already finished. I want to borrow a book," Trey said. "What?" I swallowed, hard. "School library is down the hall," I told him. "I want to borrow a book from you, from your locker." "I don't know what I want to borrow Captain Underpants," he told me. "I know you have it." Trey flipped up the Go Eagles #1 sign on my locker and pointed to the list of banned books on the back. "The green dots mean you have them, right? I want to read this one." My own little patch of quicksand was opening up underneath me again. Trey knew all about the BBLL. Did that mean his mom knew too? Maybe she did. Maybe Trey had figured it out and told his mom, but instead of going right to the principal, she'd send him here to check out a book. As evidence. I shook my head. I was beginning to think like Rebecca. "No, you don't have it, or you won't let me check it out?" Trey asked. He'd taken my head shake for a no. I didn't know what to tell him. If I gave him the book and he took it to his mom, it was over, and I was in huge trouble. But what if Trey really just wanted to read the book? Didn't all this start when he checked out Captain Underpants from the school library to read it? I'd gotten to know Trey working together on our First Amendment project, and I'd started to like him, despite his drawing me as a mouse in 3rd grade. And it was Trey's mom who banned the books, not Trey. Maybe he didn't agree with her at all. Maybe he just really wanted to read Captain Underpants. And that's why I had the banned books locker library to begin with, wasn't it? So anybody who wanted to read the books that were banned from the school library could? Trey looked disappointed in me and turned to leave. Wait, I said. I do have one, and you can borrow it. I was saying all kinds of crazy things out loud these days. I spun the dial on my lock, yanked it open, and got out Captain Underpants. Trey's eyes lit up. Do you have the fourth one, Captain Underpants and the Perilous Plot of Professor Poopy Pants? I did.